US Senator is investigating Meta after a leaked document suggested the company's artificial intelligence was allowed to engage in inappropriate conversations with children. For more on this story and more, we're joined by Dr. Karen Sutherland from the University of the Sunshine Coast. Good to see you. How damaging could these allegations be for Meta's reputation when it comes to child safety? This feels like an ongoing issue for them.
It can't get much worse than that, can it? There's just the fact that it's allowed its chatbot to engage in these types of conversations. It's very creepy and just so inappropriate and dangerous. So it'd be interesting to see what happens as a result and if there are any real penalties for what's happened.
Yeah, I'm wondering what steps tech companies should be taking to prevent AI from engaging in these harmful conversations with minors, whether it be identifying that they're a minor. Don't know how you do that. Kids generally don't say things like that. But the internet's always been a spooky place when it comes to this stuff.
Oh, for sure. Maybe there just needs to be some safeguards in there and some guardrails when they're training it. It's really hard to know because you're right. How do you actually gauge the age of someone who's using the technology? But why would you even say things like that anyway, you know, in terms of the conversation? It was very creepy without actually saying what the conversation was. But yeah, I'm just glad that people have identified it and they're investigating it. So hopefully it can be changed so it doesn't happen again.
Do you think this investigation could lead to tighter regulations on AI and social media platforms more generally speaking? We've obviously seen YouTube and the bans for underage people there. What are we seeing in terms of, I guess, reaction to this?
It's really hard to say, and every country has its own laws, but currently in the US, there don't seem to be many regulations, and it tends to be more sort of anti-AI regulation, which is also a concern because there's positives and negatives around regulation. But for things like this, I think you definitely need some guardrails and some regulations in place just to protect minors if they are using AI technology.
Absolutely. Well, let's jump over to our next topic for the moment. And a Commonwealth Bank employee mistakenly provided the wrong phone number to customers by using a public version of ChatGPT. This is the sort of stuff we don't want to hear about. Dr. Karen, tell me more about this story.
Yeah, so this bank employee provided a number, used ChatGPT to search for a business so that the person they were giving it to could make complaints. And so this poor business, who did nothing wrong, received, I think, more than 60 complaints because they were mistakenly, it was their number given rather than another business who actually deserved the complaints. And it's just because apparently this particular bank in Australia has now rolled out the enterprise version of ChatGPT. And what was ironic, it was sort of the announcement of that was at the same time that this was happening as well. But the bank itself have come out and said, oh, well, you know, it wasn't sort of wrong because it was publicly available information, but it was inaccurate. It was inaccurate.
Do you think they should be a bit stricter when banning staff from using public AI tools at work? These are the questions we're going to keep hitting, aren't we, when we move through?
Yes. Or, you know, my whole approach is you have to fact check everything AI gives you because it still gets it wrong. It still hallucinates. And you're the one who's going to give out that information. So just don't assume that what you're getting is correct. And I've just read a story before we've gone to air now about a lawyer in Western Australia, same thing, using ChatGPT, and it's made up these case notes of fictional cases. And they've actually used that. So now they're getting in trouble with the public legislator because they're using inaccurate information. And apparently the lawyer in that case said, well, I thought you could rely on AI-generated information, but you cannot.
No,
so
and I'm glad you've said that here on the network. Do not trust it. Double check your work team. But does CBA's new partnership with OpenAI raise these fresh questions about trust and oversight in AI use? Again, this is stuff we see multiple times. I remember Google telling us to eat rocks and things like that.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Okay, so organizations, they want to integrate tools and use tools in their day-to-day work practices. Fine, but have some policies and processes around it to mitigate the risks of inaccuracies and misinformation coming out. Because that's right, just because you've got a great tool and it's the enterprise version and maybe your data will be safer, it doesn't mean it's still going to give you accurate information. You still need to double check and you still need to be the subject matter expert so that you can tell whether what it's producing is right or not, correct or not.
Yeah, good summary there. You and I will be keeping a close eye on it each week here on Ticker, but thanks again for joining me.